Thank you for staying tuned to Newsmaker Live with Laura. If it's Wednesday, it's Newsmaker Live, where we make out your stories, our stories. Now, earlier I made mention that we may have had a guest. Well, we were supposed to have a guest, but she was caught up in another meeting and was unable to be with us at the start of the show. Then we went on break, and I said to you, hopefully when we come back from break, that we would have a guest, but apparently the guest is still caught up and will not be making the show tonight. So she's asked that I apologize to you, the viewers, that she's not here. I know that a lot of people were actually keen on hearing from her vision for the party, the United Workers' Party, and what she intends to do if were she to be successful. But unfortunately, she can't be here. So we'll continue the conversation that we were having before the break, and that will take us through to the end of the show. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air. Thank you for holding. Good night.
Okay, I'm Laura. I would like to talk to you based on something.
Yes, talk to me.
Okay. Why, when somebody comes into your home and rape you or do you something that isn't good, the law tends to say that it is force. And when you act on them back again, isn't that force?
Yes, I'm not sure that I understand your question. Where you're going. You're saying that when somebody breaks into your home and they rape you, we say it's force.
Yes.
And then when we retaliate and we hurt that person back, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is that not force?
Yes, because the law saying is force.
Yes.
You're using too much force.
Oh, I see where you're going. You're saying it escapes me now, but it's something to the effect that we've used too much force in trying to protect ourselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's up to the law to prove that I have used undue force, because at the end of the day, the law also says that I have the right to protect myself, my property, and my family.
Yes,
and if there is a threat to my life, and in the process of protecting myself, you lose your life.
Okay, but at that time, you would not choose what to do.
No, you're reacting on adrenaline. It's fight, flight, or fright, you know. And if I choose to fight, whatever I lay my hands on, and I'm hoping that maybe Corporal Hippolyte or one of the other members of the police force can call and clarify for us, or even a lawyer can call us and give us some clarification on that. But to my mind, you come into my home uninvited, you're trespassing. Whatever you get, pal, you're going to take. You're going to just have to accept it, especially if you're threatening my life and that of my children or my family. Because I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect them.
Because if it was my mother, they do that.
And you know, at the end of the day, we're not advocating violence, and we're trying to let the population know that we're not saying, okay, make plans to be violent. True. But at the end of the day, the law has to recognize that in protecting myself, my family, and my property, that somebody may lose their lives. May. It's not because I want to, but it's because that person has put themselves in harm's way, and that has happened. And so I am certain that the law makes provision for that. So I'm hoping that we can get a call or two from maybe a lawyer or a Corporal Hippolyte or somebody else in the police force to give us some more guidance on that. But as far as I can see, you come to plunder. And you're hurt in the process? Yes, how is that my fault? Yes. But it is really rather unfortunate that a 97-year-old great-grandmother had to suffer this indignity in the twilight of her years.
If it's 97-year-old?
97. That's only 3 years. And some people say 98, so I'm not sure. It's either 97s. But either which way, it's 3 or 2 years removed from a century. Yes. That is a milestone. And this is what you're living with. That's after 97 years on this earth. You know, this is what you're taking home with you. When I say taking home, I mean, you know, to the afterlife with you. You know, this horrendous, tragic,
barbaric.
All of the superlatives, you know. But I'm going to ask you the question that I asked one of my other callers. Are you going to march with ladies of Raise Your Voices?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, wonderful. The date is November 25th. It starts at Serenity Park from 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Well, 2 p.m. And it's going to end at the Derek Walcott Square, and it's going to be a vigil. We're going to hear from community leaders, you know, and various persons to try to chart a way forward and to stand in solidarity with those women and children, because I mean, at 16 you're still a child, you know, and we've had 3 within the span of a week.
Yes,
you know.
It's high time the youth start to do something about it too.
Yes, certainly, certainly.
And I would like to hear from Jukebox and Flood tomorrow morning.
Well, yeah. But thank you so much for your call, and I appreciate it very much. But also, I just wanted to mention that there's another march coming up a week before the November 25th, and that is on the November 19th to commemorate the World Day of Prevention of Abuse and Violence Against Children. And remember, last month we had a number of cases of abuse against children, physical abuse, and we also know that there's a rising number of cases of incest and violence against children. And so the members of Caring Hands Foundation, in collaboration with some schools in Vieux Fort, have decided to put together a march from I think it's the Vieux Fort Primary School, from there throughout the town of Vieux Fort, culminating at the town square, where there will be speeches from persons speaking to the children with regard to good touch, bad touch, and abuse against themselves and their rights, and speaking to the parents and the teachers and the community at large. So look out for those 2 marches. The first will be on November 19th, when the world marks World Day for Prevention of Abuse and Violence Against Children. And the second one will be a week later, on November 25th, on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And this one will be put up by Raise Your Voice, St. Lucia. This is your time, St. Lucia, to join in the conversation and to let your voices be heard, denouncing the rapes of women and children alike, and perhaps to give your views on suggestions on how we can help to eliminate the scourge from our landscape. Maybe we can get a call from the police. I mean, one of our callers talked about what is undue force, you know, what is too much force when trying to protect yourself and your family from harm's way. You know, a lot of people think that rape, as I said earlier, is a crime of passion, but really and truly it's not. It's a crime of control. I fail to understand how breaking and entering into somebody's home is bad enough, but you're going to break and enter, and not just to plunder the material things, but to plunder the person as well. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Hi, Laura.
Yes, good
what
evening.
I would like to see is that the police, you know, come out from the methodologies that they used before. Can they come out and give us more information as women? How do they enter the properties? What do they do? Do they have anything on the people who perform those rapes? Do they walk funny? Do they have tattoos? Do they have any, you know, have any of the women seen them? Do they know what they look like? Have they tried to bring on artists on board to get a composite sketch of what these people look like? What are they doing different? We haven't heard from the police if they have any information that would help them. These people live in communities.
I agree. You know, and a lot of the times we talk about the investigation is ongoing. But what is the process? And, you know, they ask for us to help within the communities, but how do we go about helping when we do not know what you're looking for? Are we expected to look at our families and people within our communities who have scratches? And I mean, because these people, when they're entering the homes, when they're walking towards the homes, they're not masked. They're masked at the home, not walking towards the home or driving towards the home. Maybe somebody saw something, but what are we looking for? We don't know. You know, there was this case not too long ago about this young man who was stabbed 56 times, I believe it was. His throat was slashed, his head was almost decapitated. And we know that there is a person of interest. And we know that this young person this young man sent out a picture of the person he was going to meet. But have we ever seen a picture of that person in the media? We don't know. And so they're asking for help. But we don't know how to help because we don't know what they're looking for. So you're quite right. Maybe it's time for the police to come out and tell us what to look for. You know, sensitize us as to what to look for before the crime and after the crime.
Exactly. We need to know things like how did they enter? They're asking us to be more vigilant as women. But what are they telling us? How did these people enter? Okay, some of us have burglar bars. What did they do? Did they use a device to interfere with the burglar bars? Did they come through the front door? Did they come through a window? Were these women walking on the roads? Give us some more information. What I would like to see the police doing is to get out of the old methodologies that they haven't come into the 20th century. When something like that happens, that they come out on the television, they do a report, a comprehensive report, and tell the communities what is happening. Tell the women what is happening. They want us to do different. They want us to do different things. I heard them say to be more vigilant. What does that mean?
But maybe it's because they don't have the resources. You know, they don't have the backup. So they come in. I know my family and myself have been victims of crime in the past. And so when we call the police, they come in and they take their fingerprints and they do the dusting and all of that. And I'm asking myself, why do they even bother? Because we don't have a database. No, we ask ourselves, why do they even bother? They have to do their job, so they're doing the job. But to me, it's very mechanical. I have to do this, so I'm doing it. Because at the end of the day, if you do not have a database by which to compare, and I'm not talking, and a lot of the times, they may have a database, you know, but it is manual. So, well, I'm assuming, because they take the fingerprints. Well, I'm assuming that I think they're doing it manually. So there's not a computerized system that can now go through all of the grooves and the swirls of the fingerprint to identify without a shadow of a doubt, or at least 99.9% of the time, that these two fingerprints match. What about the DNA?
Exactly.
I understood that in the case of the Dennery young lady, that there were condoms found at the home where she was raped. So we find the condoms, and so we have DNA. Where do we store that DNA? And can we test the DNA? Maybe the persons who have done that are known by the police. Maybe we have the DNA. Okay, so we have the DNA, but where is the database? How do we store it? Do we store it in the right way? We have a crime lab, we know, but the crime lab is not effective. It's not in effect. So we just have a white elephant or a green elephant, because I think the building is green. But we just have this thing there to say, yay, we have a crime lab. But if we cannot use it, and if the resources isn't accessible to the police, then we really can't blame the police, because then they just don't have the resources. And then we're asking for more resources for the police. But are they trained to use those resources? And where do we get the resource? Because then we have to start all over and send them for training.
Well, true. Two things, maybe very soon they would ask St. Lucian women to start contributing to a fund. No, I mean, it may sound ridiculous, but there are things that they're going to have to start doing to protect us.
And you know what? I would be glad to contribute to a fund.
Happy to contribute.
Because it means that I am going to, if it means that I'm going to be a little bit safer. But you know what's tragic though? Every time I hear about these rapes or murders even, I think about the dearth in forensic scientists that we have in St. Lucia. And then I'm reminded of Cherise Benoit. Yes. You know, this is a bright spark. Yes. This is a young lady whose life was snuffed out. And she wanted to be a forensic scientist. We will never have the benefit of her services because somebody snuffed her life out at a tender age, and we do not have the resources to find out who did it.
True. I mean, I'm not sure she was raped, but how many years later, we still see women being violated.
Yes.
And what I find now, listening to the news, and it's now for me it's becoming a recurring decimal. Everybody now, whether it's on rape, whether it's on the the tourists being
abused or
yes,
rape,
abused or whatever.
stolen from.
This is the common thread you're hearing now. That people are to be more responsible for themselves and their actions. Really?
Yeah.
You hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am raped.
Yes.
In the comfort of my
women have
home,
to be more
behind
vigilant.
closed doors.
Where is the police?
Yes.
Where is the government has a responsibility to take care of us as citizens? That's what
Yes.
we put
And that
them
is
there
why
for.
we have a state. That is why we have government. That's why we have organizations and where we have structures put in place to take care of those things that we cannot take care of on our
Exactly.
own.
So when you tell me that I should be more vigilant,
Yes.
does it mean that if I now choose to walk with a knife or that I choose to use pepper spray on somebody who's attacking me, and we can't use pepper spray in our community?
It's illegal.
What happens to me?
Well,
When you tell me
now
be
you will be
vigilant,
charged.
that's what you're telling me.
Yeah, now
So-
you become a criminal. And it's funny because the minister spoke about the pepper spray, but that's it. She spoke about it and then no conversation
No,
took place.
Nothing definite. And
Yeah.
you know what? Next week we'll hear more rapes again.
Yeah.
And it will be like, oh well, we should have used. But what are they doing?
Yeah.
Have they gone in? Are they trying to change the law? Because the rapists are not waiting for them. They continue to.
They continue with
They continue to
impunity.
rape. So
And you know, in
at the
some
next
cases,
sitting, they need to do something about it. If they're
yes,
going to change the act and allow us to use pepper spray,
we need
then
reform in
do
our
it.
laws. Certainly.
Do it.
Certainly.
For me as a young, I want to see more action. I want to, less talking and let's be a community that, acts. We're going to walk next 2 weeks, but trust me, Laura, what is going to come out of this? I want to come out and walk and in unity, but what will be the outcome?
Oh, well, I will walk and I will talk and I will do everything in my power. I'm not going to wait for people, at the end of the day. And, by doing that, sometimes we even put ourselves in harm's way.
Yes.
Because really and truly, what
don't
they
know
want
who
us
they
to
are.
be, they want us to be prisoners in our homes, And even when we are prisoners in our homes, that's when they attack. Not when I'm wearing the skimpy clothing and I'm wearing my, kick-em boots. When I'm in my home, in my PJs, in my bed, when my grandmother is in her home, where it's supposed to be safe, wearing her granny clothes and her granny underwear,
And, I just want to make my final point. And I think, Laura, that our society has tolerated the sexual harassment of women for too long. And
It's
now
in the
this is
music.
disrespectful.
Yes.
You can't walk on Bridge Street without a man saying something about your body.
Yes.
And when we look at organizations, for example, as Sandals, Sandals has a no harassment policy, but yet our island, we tolerate it as a
yes,
community.
certainly.
And it's okay for a man to sexually harass a woman. They don't even call it that, it's just a joke. It's
Yes, but that's the rape culture. That's the rape culture, That's the rape culture.
Exactly.
And you know what? Before you leave, I just want to make this point because we expecting other calls. But the music that we play on the radios, on our buses, during prime time where our children can hear and that kind of thing. Most of these songs come out of Jamaica. But do you know that in Jamaica, these songs aren't allowed to be played on public radio? But we import it into our country, and sometimes when you sit down and really analyze and to think about and to listen to the words of the lyrics of these songs, disgusting.
Oh, yes.
Disgusting.
Oh, yes. So what we expect to come out of a society like this when we honor things like that. But I really, at the end of it all, I would really like to see more action and less talk.
Certainly.
I'm fed up with the talking, and I really would like to see more action.
So I can expect to see you at the walk?
I will be there, and
Wonderful.
you know who I am, Jay, I'm your cousin, but don't mention my name.
Okay then. But wonderful. I mean, I can barely walk. I have one good leg, but I will certainly make an effort to be there because it is important. We have to send a message out there to these criminals, these dogs, I can't even call them dogs because dogs don't do that, Honestly, they don't. So these miscreants and these fiends, we have to send a clear message to them that we're not going to sit down, or in this case, lie down and take it.
Yes, and finally, I just think we need a women's prime minister. Goodbye, Laura.
Thank you for calling, and you know, that may not necessarily be a bad thing. I think we're overdue for a female prime minister, but hey, are we ready for a female prime minister? That's the question. Are we ready? But you know, a number of issues were brought in. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
You know, I think we really missed an opportunity to make an example of one of the perpetrators who was charged not too long ago.
Tell me.
He had raped a couple of young ladies. They were in 8 and 9 or 7 and 9 years old.
What?
That's about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Are you serious?
Yes. I mean, the incident took place a number of years ago. But the case went through about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And the lady was saying that she was satisfied with the number of years they gave the man.
Where was I?
I don't know where you were.
Are you serious?
Yes.
There was a rapist who was found guilty and sent to prison?
About a month ago or so.
I must do some research on that.
It was never shown on any of the television stations.
What?
Right? One of the girls was 6 years, the other one was 9 years, something of that sort. I can't remember exactly what it was. I was very sick at the time and so on. Right? None of the television.
How many years did he get?
Showed you the picture of the culprit.
And that's the thing, and that's the thing, and that in itself perpetuates the rape culture, because we're protecting these misfeasants, these miscreants. We're protecting them. We need to know who they are, because they're going to get out of prison, and then they're going to reintegrate in society. And if they have not been rehabilitated, which I doubt they have been,
the next story,
they're going to do it again.
The next story of that case is that a lot of the charges were concurrent. Okay? So for the 2 rapes, I think he had 5 years or 7 years concurrent. That means it's only 7 years.
Are you serious? Yeah. And the lady said she's satisfied with the number of years?
Get the, Corporal Zachary Hippolyte.
I tried calling him today, actually, and I didn't get him.
How many years in total they gave him?
And they didn't say who the person was? They didn't give a name?
They gave the name. They gave the name. But what I'm saying is that none of the television stations ever showed you the face of the culprit. Right?
We really must agitate for a sex offenders registry. We really must, because we need to know who they are. You know, a few weeks ago, I was watching television, I was watching the news with a group of girlfriends of mine, and some of them work in social services, and then there was this man who was being interviewed, and then they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're interviewing this man. Don't they know who he is? This man is a rapist, and he apparently had raped somebody or people in the United States of America. He had served his time there and was deported back to St. Lucia. So he comes to St. Lucia, and we don't know who he is. There is no sex offenders register.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Registry, so he's not registered, and so we don't know. And there is this person who could be a threat to society. For all we know, he could be one of those persons committing the rapes. We don't know, you know, and he's out at large, and we're socializing with him, and we don't know. We don't know, and that in itself ought to be a crime.
You know, so again, I'm saying that the courts have a lot to do with it.
There must be some sort of reform of our laws.
That's what frustrates some of the policemen who are genuine about their work. Right?
Absolutely.
They catch the culprit, they take them to court, and then they get a slap on their hand, and then they back on.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So we have a lot of problems dealing with here.
I am going to research.
Situation we have here.
I am going to do some more research on this. Honestly, I do not know how that slipped me, because I am like a hawk when it comes to these things. I may have been out of Ireland because
a month and a half ago or so, I was very sick. I couldn't pick up every detail.
Right.
The incident happened some years ago, right? And I think that the elder girl had gone through some grueling situation
Wow.
at the courts, at age
Wow.
12,
Wow.
from
Yes.
the culprit's lawyers.
I
and
can
so
well
on and
imagine.
whatnot.
I can
And the
imagine.
mother was saying that she's satisfied.
With 7 years.
Yeah, but then the guy spent a number of years in jail already.
Well, he didn't spend enough because you just destroyed the lives of 2 young
That should be
children.
deducted from the number of years you have to spend there.
Oh my goodness.
Plus
This
the
guy should be
concurrent
spending
years,
life in prison.
Right? That what people do not understand, concurrent years, even just give you 2 concurrent 5 years, it's 5 years.
It's 5 years, yes. It's served together.
And then time is taken off that also.
Yeah, for
So
time
maybe
served.
because
For
then
time
there's
served.
guys walking the streets all over again. And I've been kicking hell trying to get the radio station and the television station to express that.
I am going. Well, thank you, because you've just told me something that I didn't know before, and I'm going to look into it, and I am going to, at the next show, I am going to certainly highlight it, because this is something that we need to know, and this person could be out on the streets today because, like you said, he only got 7 years, and depending on the number of years he's already spent, he could be out of prison in short time.
Yeah, in no time.
Thank you so much.
But the mother felt that he got a reasonable number of years.
But you see, again,
you understand the concurrent implications.
Precisely. And again, I was just about to tell you, it's the education. Do they understand the term?
Right.
Do they understand?
If in case it was consecutive, then that's
right.
a different story.
Right.
And this is where we have to start to see, I don't know who are the forces that could get the courts to change that concurrent thing, right?
And I believe that a rapist can get up to life in prison.
Next story.
Oh boy. But thank you so much for...
We have a serious situation that needs to be attacked from several different directions.
Yes, certainly. Absolutely.
And the powers that be talking a lot of empty talk.
Well, we have to push them. We have to put the pressure to bear.
We're not making them accountable.
We have to put the pressure to bear, because at the end of the day, it's affecting us. Will you be marching? Will you be marching with Raise Your Voices?
As long as I'm feeling better, I'll march.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. And this is what we need. We need as many men as possible to come out, because it's a disgrace.
We have to kick hell. Men have
yes,
to kick hell.
Absolutely.
It's time.
Absolutely.
The men supposed to be controlling our homes and our house.
They're supposed to be the head biblically, huh?
And this kind of
yes.
thing and so on.
Yeah.
And we have to set the example.
Yes, absolutely.
And if in case we're not setting the example, something is wrong with us.
Absolutely.
We have to take a very close look at ourselves.
Absolutely.
Especially those who are in certain positions.
Certainly. And that's right. Because a lot of the times they get away with it, and everybody else thinks they can do it too.
Positions are overlooked.
Yes.
If so-and-so does that, that's okay.
That's okay. It's overlooked,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You see, we
and the wajma, we have to remember the wajma.
America, we do not take the good things.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much.
Those are the top accountable.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your contribution. Right. We appreciate that. And this gentleman made a number of valid points, and I'm certainly going to look into this incident, because I really did not know about it, and it's sad. Really. We have our last caller online. Thank you for calling. Newsmaker Live with Laura, you're on the air.
No, I saw a program on television. I was trying to call them.
Okay.
Good night.
Hello? This is Newsmaker Live?
Yes, I want to say something to you. I think the best correction for the rapists and them, just do them like Suriname. Bring them in the public and every day give them a beating. That is what will correct the young people in St. Lucia. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. And well, human rights are we're already under so much scrutiny for human rights. I wonder if we can afford, and I think that's one of the situations that's hampering us from really doing much, because we're under so much scrutiny by the big countries that we're scared of our own skin and our own shadows, that we're afraid to take decisions. And I personally am not one for corporal punishment, but at the end of the day, when you look at what the alternative is, really, what choice do we have? What choice do we have? You know, again, I want to apologize for not having my guest, and on behalf of, I know she wanted to be here, and I know she wanted to speak with you and to converse with you, but unfortunately this couldn't happen. As usual, I would like to send out some shout outs. I would like to say hello to Aisha and her husband Ifa. Ifa, I haven't forgotten you this time. And speaking of couples, I want to say hello to my parents, my mom and dad, Loretta and Dale. You know, my parents have been married for 40 years now, and they do everything together. They work together. They've raised 4 wonderful children together, if I should say so. I'm not tooting my own horn. It's a fact. And right now they're both ill, so they're ill together. So I want to say hello to mom and dad, and I hope you guys are feeling better. I also want to say hello to Christine Oscar and the whole staff of Forest Springs. And I also want to send a special good evening to a friend of mine, Roya. This has been another episode of Newsmaker Live with Laura. Thank you for watching. See you next week.